And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is October 20th, 2025. It is a Monday. Serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, tariffs, your job, your industry, anything and everything that matters, we are going to cover. Hope you're having a good day. Today would have been my father's 94th birthday. As you know, he passed away on August 24th, and all I was doing was thinking about him today. 93 years old, almost 94. I am so grateful for how many years, but it still has not been on the easy front, as they say. And we always get told, 93 years still does not make it easy. Still does not make it easy. Anyway, or not anyway. As we said, serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll cover it all. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. Also the YouTube channel, BizTV, and other podcast apps. If you'd like to email me, you just have to be nice. That's all. Nice. That's all we want, is nice. So we want to do a little backtracking. 2 Fridays ago, market dropped 800 and something, and the NASDAQ 800 and something. World stocks got hit hard. China in particular. The president announced, he came out and said, we're going to have to put on major tariffs on China. And I was like, oh, no, stop. And the market took a pretty darn good dive. I think it was down 820, let's just say 820 to 850, depending on the Dow or the NASDAQ. After the close, the president announced a 100% tariff on China. This was not last Friday, it was the Friday before, the 10th, I believe. After the market, the Dow dropped another 400 or 500 points on the announcement of the 100% tariff. Within an hour of that time, the president started making nice. Well, he's a good friend of mine. We get along. We think we can work it out. We're still going to have the meeting that, by the way, they said they were going to cancel. And the Secretary of Treasury came out and did the same. In the aftermarket, the Dow, which was down 400 to 500 points, by the time I stopped looking, was more than flat. Meaning got back the 400 to 500 and more, eating into the loss that day. And of course, we came in that Monday to a big gap to the upside off the nice. Last week was what we would call somewhat of a wicked week, culminating with Friday, and it ended up an up week. But all the back and forth talk that turned into what I call nice. Oh, he's our friend. We don't like some of the things he's doing, but we can work it out, this and that, which came into today. And we had another gap to the upside today. But something else happened today that interested us. And that is, the president talked tough today, and the market didn't care. We can take it one of two ways. that the market is finally saying, Mr. President, it's the boy who cried wolf? Or the market's just saying, the boy who cried wolf, meaning, oh, we've heard this so many times. Come on, enough. We've heard this before. We don't believe it. Well, here's our take. We don't believe it either. There's no way on November 1st there will be 100% tariff on Chinese goods. That's on top, I guess there's some tariff out there right now with a lot of exemptions. Here's why. It is our opinion. It is just our opinion. The markets would crumble. The economy would get in big trouble. You know why we know this? Because the last time, precedent. So we don't think it's going to happen. And the market had a very good broad market day. The worst areas were up. And if the worst areas are up and the best areas are doing well, you have a good broad market day. And now, very simply at the close, and this is the way I want to explain it, the Dow is now 60 points higher than that Friday. Another what we call tariff day. The Dow is actually above. The S&P is not above. Closed at 67.35. It was that day 67.62, so has a little bit of work to do. Probably get there. The NASDAQ, that day was 23,119, closed at 22,990, so still have about 130 NASDAQ points to get it all back. The semiconductors that were hit so hard that day is above. 68.67, it closed today at 68.85. And of course, semiconductors have a very direct link with Asia. And there's your story. Banks that were getting very weak last week bounced today. That's important. Transports that got whacked on that Friday had a good day. Commodities had a good day. Oils were up. It was a good broad market day. That's the best way I can explain it to you. I have no clue about tomorrow, but a good broad market day. A few things I want to add, as we do a lot of markets today. I've got 6 pages of earnings this week. I have 12 pages of earnings next week. For example, just tomorrow, before the open, is 3M and Coke in the Dow. GE and GM, PACCAR, Big Trucker, Pulte Homes, Home Builder. After the close tomorrow, Netflix, Texas Instruments. Catching the drift? Ton of important names reporting this week, next week, and the week after. Also this week, IBM in the Dow, Tesla, Lam Research, KLA 10 Core, Honeywell in the Dow, Blackstone. Is that Blackstone? Yeah, that's Blackstone. How about T-Mobile, Union Pacific, Rails, Ford, Intel, Deckers Outdoor, Norfolk Southern, Procter & Gamble in the Dow? So just letting you know, there's going to be a lot of jello moving on the plate this week and next week. Next week will be Apple, Amazon, I think Google next week. It'll be quite the interesting move, but leave no doubt, strong market has completely given a certain finger to 2 Fridays ago and tariff threats. And we're going to repeat up next what we think is at work here again and explain it to you. It has to do with oil, yields, and the latest move by Jay Powell. That'll be up next on this, the one and only Investor's Edge. So, let's start off with something very important to the bond market, which is yields. Jay Powell, the head of the central bank, printed to $9 trillion. To $9 trillion. I think it started at 3 or 4. So he printed, let's say, $5 to $6 trillion. Printed. This was during COVID. He took that money, by the way, conjured up money, and bought the hell out of the bond market. Our government bonds. The goal is to get rates down as low as possible during COVID because we had this shutdown. Well, the 10-year yield was brought down to 0.5%. He took Fed funds rates, his little short-term thing, to 0. But 10-year yields were at 0.5%, which enabled mortgages at 3% and under. We opened up. He sat around, and that created all the inflation. It was not Biden's inflation. It was Jay Powell's inflation. Biden just didn't help by his $1.8 trillion BS lying sack of Inflation Reduction Act. So once the economy started moving again, and thankfully COVID went bye-bye, he stopped the money printing, and of course inflation started coming down. But he still had all those bonds that they had bought, a ton of them, even though it was fake money. So the quantitative easing is defined as printing the money. Quantitative tightening means getting rid of that printed money. How do you get rid of that printed money? Well, you let the bonds mature that you bought. And that's what he did. It's called the runoff. So bonds that were bought many years ago by Bernanke and Yellen before Powell, as well as Powell, he let them run off. And instead of having $9 trillion of fake money on the fake central bank balance sheet, it went to 8.9, 8.8, 8.7, 8.6, 8.5, 8.4, 8.3, and rightfully so. We don't believe the Fed should have a balance sheet. Just remember, when Ben Bernanke started printing money, he told all of us it was just for the short term. He lied. In the last 10 days, Jay Powell announced they're no longer going to run off the balance sheet. Meaning, when those bonds mature, they're going to take that money and buy bonds. So there's not going to be more printing of money. It would just be taking maturing bonds and buying back into the bond market. What does that provide the bond market? Liquidity. And the perception on Wall Street. And what does Wall Street do? They start buying bonds. And what has the 10-year yield done? Since, let's go 10 days ago. It was at 4.16. It's now 3.986. Yields have come down markedly since that day. Why? Again, two things. Perception and reality. The perception is, okay, there's going to be more liquidity, and the reality is Wall Street's going to buy bonds, taking yields down. What happens when yields go down? Cost of capital goes down. What do markets like? Lower yields. But let's combine that. What's the second part of the equation? You're getting lower yields, and oil prices have been coming down. So the cost of capital, mortgage rates, and oil prices, the cost of energy going down. And we're not just talking at the gas pump. Do you know how many products are made with petroleum? A ton. And what does this all do? It helps. Fundamentally, any way you cut it. That's all. And the markets want to go higher because of that. And they wanted to go higher before 2 days ago, before the president sabotaged the markets again with another, 100% tariff, which basically he's still kind of sort of threatening, but we pretty much all know there's no way in hell that's going to happen. Because the last time, he had a 10% drop in 2 days. So I think the markets come to the realization of that, and you combine it with what I just mentioned to you, and you're back up almost to where we were on that Friday smackdown. And by the way, a one-day drop of 850 and 850, and I'm, rounding off, is a big drop. So that's that. Dow was up 515 today, opened up big. S&P 71, NASDAQ 310, NASDAQ 100 323, Russell 2000 almost 2%, the SOX up 107. Just keep in mind, there's a lot of bearish areas out there. They all bounced today. That helps the broad market. But I can tell you flat out, a lot of areas remain in downtrends. We'll stick with the uptrends. Simple as that. There's your story. That's the levers. We'll let you know if that changes. But I'm so happy that market looks like it may be starting to ignore, and don't take this wrong, but it's a good analogy, the boy who cried wolf. And by the way, I'm not the only one saying that. And there's your story of today. We're almost back to that Friday. From here, well, we'll be watching oil prices, yields, and then we got mucho earnings to come. That means we're going to be up early, going to sleep late. Because what do we do with that? Numbers and reactions. Numbers and reactions. We'll see how that goes. So, good day. Up next, gold. Wow. This is the one only Investor's Edge. All right. We're going to segue a little now. First off, I actually got a bunch of emails from all of you on my New York Football Giants on giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter to the Denver Broncos and losing the game 33-32. And by the way, they lost it at the end. They scored a touchdown and missed an extra point because their kicker's injured. They brought another kicker in instead of bringing in a really good kicker. They brought in a pedestrian one, but that's not what lost the game. They lost the game because the coach sucks. You play the whole game, you're destroying the other team. The reason you're destroying the whole team and you're shutting them out, going into the fourth quarter in Denver, which, by the way, is very tough to win there, because you're being aggressive and you're going after them. and you're really going after them, and you're tackling great, and you're not giving up anything, and they know that you're all over them. And what do you do in the fourth quarter? You go into the prevent defense. You back away. You hope time runs out instead of staying aggressive. And Denver scores 33 points in the fourth quarter. They ran up and down the field. They were throwing 20-yard passes like there was no tomorrow. They were easily throwing 10-yard passes because the cornerbacks were 12 yards deep. This coach is so bad. And you know what? They've been getting better and better and better, and he changes up the scheme in the fourth quarter. Amazing to watch. That is my New York Giants for the day. By the way, on the betting front, you know what I've been doing in the Major League playoffs? I'm betting the over every game. And you know what? I think I'm hitting 80%. I'm just betting the over every game. Last night's game was 7.5. They finished at 8. There was a game where I got the over in the second or third inning. What do we say to you about what the market gives you? It just seems like, the market's given overs. We'll see how long that lasts. Next thing I want to bring up. So I'm in New Jersey with my son, and you can get DraftKings Casino on your phone, or I guess on your computer. Do you know they have live casino games in a bunch of states right now through like DraftKings and somebody else? Live. In other words, you're there, and you see the live person dealing out to you. Boy, they got you. Man, oh man. And it's amazing. DraftKings, I was looking at this, and DraftKings is just sending out these promotions to you while you're on there. Hey, bet 5, and if you get this, we'll give you 50. Bet this, that. And they got everything lit up like in Vegas casinos and stuff. And what do then they do? If you've got a gambling problem, call this number. I think it said call this number. It's it's almost hysterical. It's almost hysterical. As I've always told everybody with the lottery and gambling, just be smart. That's all. Because, man, oh, man, they are coming at you. They are driving to the hoop on you. You're watching football games and baseball games and basketball games right now, and the anchors and the announcers are stopping in the middle of the game. Well, you're all 3.5 points. And they have celebrities coming at you. Just be careful. And you know what we think of the lottery, right? It's the greatest greatest scam in history. We want you to remember that, especially the scratch-offs. Yeah, people win big. You know how many? Very few. I do play. I'll play that big stuff when it goes above 300 million. Because the odds are like 300 million. You can get hit by lightning 3 times in 3 straight days at the same place, same time, and have better odds of that happening. Be careful with your money, please. Man, these DraftKings, why didn't I think of that? They got you. I can imagine people spending their whole day on the phone playing casino games and live casino games. I can see it. They got you. I think same with the Instagram. They got you. I see people on Instagram, video after video after video after video after video. They'll sit there and go through 500 of them. They got you. They figured it out to have your attention. You all remember that, okay? Mark Zuckerberg figured it out. I've never been on TikTok. I've been on Instagram. I've never been on TikTok. I'm going to have to try that out. I guess it's the same thing. And by the way, people are making a ton of money with businesses on these applications. Something you all can think about. If you are a genius at one thing, I keep telling my brother, Stephen, you are the preeminent genius on Yes and Genesis. Why don't you start something on Instagram? I bet you can make a business out of it. No. My brother's an absolute genius on Yes and Genesis. He can tell you about what the set list was in 1975 at Madison Square Garden, the whole works. People are making bazillions of dollars on just different things, and you get paid by the views. There's one guy, I think he lives in Italy, has these 3 dogs. They look like pit bulls, but nice pit bulls. I don't know if there's some, I guess they're nice. He feeds them with a fork. And he's got 1.5 million followers. I don't know how he gets paid, but he's got 1.5 million followers. He feeds his dogs with a fork. And it's pretty cool, actually. But I'm just letting you know what is out there. If I ever retire at what I do, I will spend some hours thinking about that. What can I do on there? And then there's that OnlyFans thing. Wow. Have you seen those numbers? And by the way, it's not just the sex thing. There are people with workouts on there, a bunch of other things, but man, the numbers there. Some woman announced she made $80 million in her first year. And guess what? She just wears bikinis. $80 million. And by the way, she showed the $80 million. She wasn't lying. What an amazing time we live in right now, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, a lot of people making a lot of money didn't have a you-know-what to you-know-what in before. And there's eBay businesses, YouTube, holy moly. So just letting you know. I don't know how I got to talking about this, but just letting you know. It's all out there for you. Okay, back to where we were. Narrow, but good. Narrow, but good. And the same areas before the Friday of 2 weeks ago, doing the trick into earnings. And I never usually say this, but I have to tell you, this is going to be a very interesting earnings report season. One for the books, if you ask me. So stay tuned. What we do each and every day is let you know what happened in the morning, and if time, what in the afternoon, or the next day cover the earnings after the close from the day before. Specifically, the big gaps and the big names. We're ready. Up next, a bone to pick. And it matters. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So as you know, and we take no joy, we believe the media is causing a lot of problems out there, a lot of strife, a lot of pent-up emotions based on lies. And they're doing it in plain sight because they don't answer to anybody. They have protections on everything. In the last few days, Hamas has been murdering Palestinians with shots to the back of the head and hangings. Hamas is publishing them on video. You see anybody reporting that? Oh, that's right. Why would they? Hamas murdered 2 Israelis over the weekend and attacked Israel. Reuters, AP, CNN, others. You know how they reported Hamas attacking Israel? Israel attacked Gaza. Go look. You go on my little X feed and I put them up. Why am I bringing this up? We just want you to remember. Under Joe Biden, there was no immigration problem because they didn't report on the 10 to 20 million coming through. Under Joe Biden, there was no missing children, even though there were a ton of missing children coming through. Under Joe Biden, nobody died coming through, even though many people died drowning and in the back of overheated trucks trying to get here. Under Joe Biden, not reported. Under Donald Trump, in his first term, they wrote it home 24/7 of the separation of families. Joe Biden separated families for his 4 years, was not reported. Did you know the greatest deporter president ever was Barack Obama? Do you remember the media ripping his stuffings out? Do you remember anybody protesting Barack Obama deporting millions of people out of this country? Oh, that's right, you didn't. We just want you to remember this. The media, our media, has turned this place into a banana republic. By the way, this is not about Trump. This is about the whole scenario, because as you know, I'm about to hit Trump on something in a minute. We're just letting you know. We are watching people protesting this no kings thing, whatever. No, they have every right to. But a lot of them were still on the Free Palestine, and Israel is murderers while Hamas is murdering Palestinians right now, and the media is not reporting it. We just want you to remember all this, because it will get worse, not better. They continue to show they don't care about you. They care about an agenda and ulterior motive. And you know what the ulterior motive is with Israel? Benjamin Netanyahu is a righty. If Benjamin Netanyahu was a lefty, they may not be doing this. They suck. Speaking of sucks, Donald Trump let George Santos out of jail because he's a Republican. George Santos is a crook, a criminal, a fraud of the highest order, and the president let him out, while having his Justice Department, the president, indicting others that he does not like. George Santos is out of jail, telling all the other frauds out there, hey, if you're friends with the president, you'll be okay. Nobody can tell me that Donald Trump is the crime president, because if you're in the right space and spot, your crime pays. I'm upset with the president on this. I was upset when he did a blanket pardon on the January 6th thing. You do know why. Oh, wait till the Marxist Party has the White House. It's the be careful what you wish for. I saw a bunch of Republicans, they were not upset about George Santos being let out of jail. What is it, a commutation or something? Oh, just wait. Wait till a Marxist has the tariff power if they win in 28. Imagine Gavin Newsom with tariff power. What, you don't think he can win? Just letting you know. What do they say about Pandora's box? Opening one up. Can of worms. Opening one up. Me believes President Trump is opening up a can of worms in Pandora's box by letting this guy out, but going after those that he does not like. It's going to get worse. And wait till you see if a Marxist takes over. We're screwed. Just remember, this president is setting the precedent. Have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You'll feel better. I promise. Stay well, be well. And I don't have TDS. Have a great one, everybody. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.